So welcome everyone to the front lines of reality, the present moment. It's a precious gift to be born as a human being, to be aware, to be conscious, to be present. And I'd like to share a short reading as we begin to set the tone for our live stream. And this is actually from a post on Reddit in the R Theravada subreddit entitled "The Supreme Rare Opportunity of the Present Moment." We who have inherited the precious human life have now encountered an immensely rare opportunity. Many people do not realize how rare this human life truly is. They assume they will be born as humans again and again, but that is by no means guaranteed. In the Manusa Chutti Sutta, the Blessed One, the Buddha, declared, "Monks, of those living in the human world, only a very few are born again into the human realm after death." As an illustration, the Blessed One pointed to the dust under his fingernail and asked, "Monks, which is greater, the amount of dust under my fingernail or the dust on this great earth?" The monks replied, "Venerable Sir, the dust on the earth is indeed greater." Then the Blessed One said, "Likewise, among the humans who die, only a few are reborn as humans again. Most fall into the four lower realms. This is the actual destiny of most beings, whether we accept it or not." Furthermore, the Buddha explained that the four lower realms are like the home of the wandering being in the world of suffering and illusion. Just as in daily life we return to our home after school, play, work, or even foreign travel, so too do wandering beings in the world of illusion return again and again to the four lower realms. According to the Blessed One's teachings, a being may be reborn in the human realm, heavenly realm, or even the Brahma realm only for a short time. But after the end of that lifespan, most fall back into the four lower realms. This is why the Buddha called those lower realms the home of the wandering beings. Whether knowingly or not, if a being falls into the four lower realms, it is extremely difficult to be freed and be born again into a fortunate realm, like the human realm or the heavenly realm. In the Jigala Sutta, the Blessed One gave the following analogy. Imagine the vast ocean with no land, only water. In it floats a wooden yoke with a single hole. Now, a blind turtle lives at the bottom of this ocean and comes to the surface only once every 100 years. Imagine this yoke, or piece of wood with a hole in it, being carried around by winds blowing from the north, south, east, and west. It never stays in one place. The Buddha asked, "Monks, would that blind turtle ever, by chance, put its neck through the hole in that piece of wood as it surfaces?" The monks replied, "Venerable Sir, though not impossible, such an event would be extremely rare, even in many long ages." The Buddha said, "Even rarer than that is it for a being fallen into the lower realms to be born again into a fortunate realm." Now reflect how fortunate we are at this very present moment. Compared to the blind turtle looking through the yoke's hole, we have encountered an even rarer opportunity, the inheritance of a human life. And not only that, we have also encountered the rarest of blessings, a chance to hear and understand the Dhamma of the Blessed One. There are far more beings who haven't heard the true Dhamma than those who have. In the Akana Sutta, the Blessed One listed the conditions that prevent one from understanding the Dhamma. If a being is born in hell during a time when the Buddha or his disciples are teaching the Dhamma, they lose the opportunity to understand it. If born as an animal, they lose the opportunity. If born in the realm of hungry ghosts, they lose the opportunity. If born in the realm of unconscious beings with extremely long lives, they lose the opportunity. If born in distant lands among extremely ignorant barbaric peoples, they lose the opportunity. If they hold fixed wrong views and do not listen with an open mind, they lose the opportunity. If born with extreme mental deficiency or lack of intelligence, they lose the opportunity. Even if someone is born with great intelligence, but during a time when the true Dhamma does not appear in the world, that is, an age without an awakened one, they also lose the opportunity. Now consider, we have not been born in hell, the animal realm, the ghost realm, or in unconscious planes. We have not been born in barbaric lands or with fixed wrong views. We are not mentally disabled, nor are we born during an era where there is no enlightened one. We have received a human life, and we have encountered the Buddha's dispensation. We're able to hear and understand the Dhamma. The meeting of these two rare conditions, a human birth and the opportunity to realize the Dhamma, this is what the Blessed One called Kshana Samadhi, the supreme opportunity of the present moment. But when we look at the world, we see that only very few actually make use of this supreme, rare opportunity. Therefore, let us not chase after endless desires during this precious moment of rare human birth. Instead, let us commit ourselves firmly to seeking true refuge in the way of ending suffering. Asking why can kind of be like a never-ending, winding road that has no destination. It's not enough to just accept the way that things are right now, but to actually bring up this sense of wakefulness, this energy, this virya, this aliveness, and to penetrate into, to face, to directly experience the way that this is. And there's no need for why to explain the way that this is, because it is already completely and totally this way. So it's not something that we kind of run around in circles trying to understand or find out the right way of conceptualizing it, or the right way of intellectualizing it, but to really penetrate with energy into this direct experience as it is, with our whole heart, our whole body, our whole mind, to look at reality as it is. Or to be with reality as it is. To settle, to calm, to relax, with concentration, with a deep attention, together with everything the way that it already is right now. We all have a lot more power than we think that we do. Not power to get money or power to get relationships. Or power to control the world and make the world be the way that we want it to be. But a power to be free. What could be more wonderful? What could be more peaceful? What could be more valuable than our freedom? You can imagine a man or a woman or a person who loves life, who loves freedom, loves independence. And yet, because of some circumstance, they find themselves to be imprisoned for the rest of their lives. No opportunity to get out. This way of being free from suffering, this way of ending desire and ending fear, is a way to enable the key in the lock of the door of the prison of our anxiety, of our greed, of our delusion, of our non-stop chasing after things, our non-stop thinking. So to make use of that key is to actually begin to be free, begin to acquaint ourselves, to remember what freedom actually is. We have to be very careful about our coping mechanisms. Because sometimes, even though those coping mechanisms help us feel a little bit better for a period of time, they don't actually help us in the long run. Remembering that you have the capacity to change your life, to change your mind, to heal yourself, to take care of yourself, right? The way that you've been living, the way that you've been doing things up to now has maybe not been very skillful, not very contemplative, not very careful, not very compassionate. Maybe you haven't had much support in terms of how to work with the mind, in terms of how to deal with suffering. And so there's been this constant stacking of thoughts, of intellectual ideas, and dreams about what life is. And when we are living life through our constant thinking or through our dreamlike experience, it's very difficult to work with the mind. The mind is right here and right now. This is where, moment by moment, you are taking mental actions, physical actions, verbal actions. Meditation is nothing more than to step back and relax and release the whole body and mind. Stepping back from all of the doing and thinking and seeking and avoiding, connecting with the breath, for example. Connecting with the breath and relaxing the struggle, relaxing the figuring out, relaxing the managing, relaxing the understanding, relaxing the controlling. just for a moment, just for an instant, to step back, maybe close your eyes if you like to, and really be one with, be together with the subtlety of the moment by moment experience. When you close your eyes and step back from all this doing and seeking and figuring out, to be fully and totally and completely with what is being experienced moment by moment. Without seeking after anything, without trying to do anything, without holding on to this label that you've put on yourself as yourself, this idea of you that you've replaced with your direct experience moment by moment. Right? If you know that you have a sickness, if you know that you're suffering, if you know that something's going on inside that's not that great, you have to recover. You have to be involved in the recovery process, not just, talking about it, thinking about it, whining about it, whying about it. You keep chatting, you keep talking nonsense instead of stepping back and listening and breathing and connecting and being with what's already happening moment by moment inside of yourself. Cut the shit. Cut the bullshit. Cut the commentary. All of these moment by moment sensations, these moment by moment feelings in the body, in the face, in the stomach, in your breathing, whatever it is that you're going through, when you turn your mind around and actually begin to experience what's happening moment by moment, sounds, sights, feelings, sensations inside that aren't along the lines of this continuous conceptual intellectual narrative about yourself and your ego and your story. These are breakthrough moments. These are like an acid of things that are beyond the thing that you call your ego. You just need to breathe and focus to experience all that and start to break down the heaviness, the contraction, the apparent solidity of this real true person who's in a real true situation that they've got to figure out and comment about and deal with and think about. You don't need to think about what's already happening. But to realize that, you may have to stop or pause thinking, close your eyes, bring your attention, bring your mind into the body. And instead of doing something, just being aware moment by moment. Even doing this for a very, very small period of time, you can feel this breakthrough. You can feel this crumbling of the constant ego attachment and nonstop thinking. It's not about breathing properly, just breathe. You are in an ocean by yourself, in the middle of an ocean, and you've been swimming and struggling for a long, long time. And you can barely keep your head up above water, and you're commenting about, well, what about breathing properly? A lot of people don't know how to breathe properly. Just breathe. Just allow yourself to breathe. Give yourself the space to just breathe. Give yourself the chance and the space and the opportunity by pausing the thinking, by pausing the nonstop electricity of your mind and your ego just long enough to breathe and be aware. That's it. without grabbing onto anything, without holding onto anything. You've been swimming so much, now it's time to float. To feel the refuge of flotation, of just being mindful without attaching to anything. Being aware of anything, being aware of anything without attaching. Sink, fall. Dwell in just being aware and not attaching. All those thoughts, all those stories, all of these tumors of identity need to be dissolved with the chemotherapy of just stepping back, just sitting down, just relaxing for a moment, putting a pause on all the figuring out, putting a pause on all the understanding. Just breathe and relax and be aware. When you start to get involved with something again, you start to get involved with an idea again, or a feeling again, or a sense of something again, just bring it back to the breathing. Bring it back to the present moment experiencing. Because if you think about it, if you hold your fingers together, you rub your fingers together like this, right? The sensations that you experience, what would you even call them? Like particles or little tiny things, or what, an itchy or something you feel when you rub your fingers together. This is spontaneously, directly, immediately more real than your ego story. Because it is there. It's a yelling right there. It's a screaming right there. It's a totally right there. So you can rub your fingers together there. The difference is that some people don't allow these sensations to be real. They make up a story that these sensations are about some ego or about some identity or about some story. But these sensations that are completely real, completely present, completely undeniable, have nothing to do with any story about yourself or anyone else or the past or the future or whatever. So allow that. Allow the whateverness of these present moment sensations to be applied to your ego. And here, instead of rubbing our fingers together, we just use the process of breathing, just the experience of the moment by moment sensations, the moment by moment direct experience of breathing. the tip of the nose, coming into the body, the breathing in the body. And you allow that experience to dissolve and relax and release all of the tangles of ego, all of the cobwebs of complicated thinking. It really, really works, and it's really, really easy. Stop making all these judgments about this is good or this is bad or I like this or I don't like this or that relates to this part of my story or that relates to this part of my idea of myself or my idea about that person, etc. Stop allowing all of that to completely dominate your mind, and instead allow that breathing experience to relax and release all of the tangles in the thinking mind. We're so addicted to judging other people because we're so addicted to judging our experience moment by moment. This tastes good. This tastes bad. This feels good. This feels bad. This is boring. This is exciting. Just nonstop. We're always making these judgments. And so these judgments are what allow the complicated tangles of our suffering and our ego and our greed and our anger and our delusion to seem like they are inherently consistent. That there's one person here that's experiencing this big bad story of life that we have to then deal with. You can't deal with life. You can't deal with everything. There's no deal here. No deal. Stop making deals, stop making judgments. Just step back into awareness as it is. You will manipulate me. You're manipulate me. It's time for you to forgive yourself, not with a thought, but with a way of being. A way of being that enables and actualizes and empowers forgiveness. It's time for you to begin the process of forgiving, of offering forgiveness for all of your involvements, all of your desires, all of your fears, all of your complicated thoughts. begin the process of forgiveness. Begin the process of forgiving. The unraveling of the ego, the unraveling of complicated thinking, doesn't need to be a conviction. It's an allowance, it's a relief, it's a relax. It's like, do we have to be convicted for our practice of relaxation? Do we have to have a conviction to appreciate freedom? Do we have to have a conceptual or intellectual understanding to appreciate peacefulness? Put a pause on thinking. Put a pause on complicated thoughts. Put a pause on making judgments. Put a pause on being in control. Put a pause on going with the flow. In this way, we recognize that we're going with the flow of our thinking, of our likes, of our dislikes, and then we turn around. We begin to go upstream. We turn around and begin to look at the mind itself, look at the experiencer. Don't just keep going on and on, believing everything that you see, believing everything that you hear, believing everything that you experience. Not believing, just seeing. Not believing, just experiencing. Thanks, Garrett. Hi, observer. Refresh, relax, whole body and mind. Relax the whole ego. What does that mean? What does that mean when we say relax the whole ego? It means relax the version of yourself that thinks that it's a character in a story. Relax the version of yourself that thinks or believes that it is a character in a story. And so in that way, finding a new character in a new story that has no thoughts, or a new character that's not in a story. So what is a character that's not in a story? What is a character that doesn't exist in a story? Enough is enough. Forgiveness time. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. be a good way to label meditation on a retreat schedule. Forgiveness time, forgiveness period. Well, Richard, so in that way, it's not about feeling good in the same way that it's not about understanding something. So it's not about grasping. So this is the fulfillment of not grasping and not attaching. And this is really useful. I'm not here to say that I'm a perfect person or that we're here trying to be perfect people, although that's maybe in some ways a good ideal for a person to be perfect, but unrealistic. More so that in life there's attachment. So we as human beings, we have attachments to people, places, situations, experience, really to feeling a certain way. So if we felt completely unbridled, completely free, completely happy and peaceful, we probably wouldn't have any questions to ask anyone. We'd just be going around doing things, doing all kinds of good deeds, right, without limit. So the way of fulfillment through non-attachment is very useful because attachment has a very strong limit to it. There's a lot of things that we don't like that we have to experience. And if we broaden our mindset, if we broaden our perspective to include not just ourselves but also others, we see that there's a bigger picture. It's not just about our life, it's not just about how we feel, but it's inclusive of how everyone feels. It's inclusive of how the earth itself feels. So being able to not attach means we dare, or we're willing, or we're open to being with anything, being with everything. And this is also especially practical because it takes us out of this time-based or this story-based paradigm that we very often may become locked into, right? Because if you were a good person in the past and you're worried that you might be a bad person in the future, now you're just stuck in the present of worrying about the past and future. Whereas if you recognize that there are pleasant things, that there are unpleasant things, that our experience is kind of fluid and always changing, then we can be right there. We can be fully observant and fully present with the ever changing dynamics of our moment by moment experience. So we can find fulfillment in the only place that we actually exist, which is right here and right now. And so coming closer and closer to this right here and right now is wonderful, but it's not based in our capacity to control anything. So this is like being uncontrolled and completely open to seeing the true colors of the here and now that aren't based in conceptual thought. You know, we can really be here. If someone's being nice, if someone's being mean, if we feel good, if we feel bad, whatever we might be going through, because it's very easy to put our to put the position of authority over what's going on into our ability to blame someone else, right? But really, what we're mostly have authority over, or what we mostly have to deal with, is ourselves, our own story, our own experience. And you can kind of pretend that that's not the case. You can pretend that there's some situation or something going on outside that um, you're more responsible for what's going on outside rather than your own internal experience, your own life. But that's not realistic, right? So this experience is your experience. It belongs to you, and no one else can take responsibility for that. No one else can put that into a box for you. You have to experience this for yourself. You have to take responsibility for your own experience in the same ways that you have to take responsibility for your own ways of action right now. You can be kind right now, or you can be mean right now. You can be positive right now, or you can be negative right now. You can go on and on and on and on complaining about this experience, or you can be with this experience without complaining. So it's kind of up to you. But for many of us, a lot of the time, we're unwilling to be with the experience that's actually going on. So we're not fully there, we're not fully present. You know, it's kind of like we're in a state of eternal war, a state of eternal conflict, a state of eternal struggle. And we're always trying to blame other people or put that responsibility out. Like, I'm feeling this way and I'm dealing with this, but so and so is acting that way and so is like that, etc., etc., etc. So you have to step back and relax. You know, you make a choice where you want to be. For me, I want to be right now, I want to be totally and completely here. And I don't want to put here into a box. And for me, it's completely ridiculous that I would depend on someone else to tell me what my experience is right now. That in any universe, someone else's description of who I am right now could be more real or more important than my experience of who I am right now. Sure, because there's a kind of love that's not about anything. There's a kind of peace that's not about anything. In the same way that space is not really about the things that are in space, but space itself. So this here, what's being talked about here, is not about anything that appears within awareness, but just returning and aligning with awareness itself. Why? It'll be okay. Just relax a little bit. Don't get caught up in anything. Don't get caught up in the cobwebs of things. And you know, people hear this and they may think, maybe even sometimes I think, well, okay, well that means I'm going to start feeling good, right? But this is totally inclusive of any kind of feeling. It's not about feeling good or feeling bad. It's the awareness itself that doesn't depend on good or bad. The awareness itself that doesn't depend on things, doesn't depend on right or wrong, doesn't depend on the past or the future. The present as presence that's never ending, never beginning, never born, never dies. Now there's something to say about our degree of access to that, and that's really what these live streams are about, supporting and facilitating our degree of access to presence rather than thinking about things. Silence is healing, right? So when we have a way of being that's constantly stressed or constantly attached or constantly worried or constantly struggling, sickness pervades throughout the body and mind. When we are able to attune to silence or openness or presence or not seeking or not avoiding, then the healing process within the body can take place. We forget how the body and mind are interlinked, right? So how we work with the mind, it also enables or disables our body to be able to heal. So mental illness also creates physical illness. Mental trauma also creates physical trauma. And this is just science, you know? Buddha doesn't have fear. So this is like our anti-hive medication. Where it's an intervention. You know, everybody's looking at the addicts. Donald Trump, right? Donald Trump just put forth an executive order that said that homeless people and mentally ill people in the street can now be institutionalized, put into like a psych ward or something like that, put into a concentration camp. Probably not much concentration in those places. And so this is to recognize that within each and every one of us, there's an addict, right? There's an addict of constant seeking, seeking after pleasure and seeking to avoid pain. And this addict is broken in a way because of the impossibility of only having pleasure and never having pain. So realizing that, we take the position of the interventionist. You know, I'm really like a professional interventionist. And you also can be a professional interventionist in coming here and performing that intervention of non-attachment and non-seeking, right? Being open to all the full spectrum of experience, moment by moment, without grasping, without seeking, without chasing, without holding on. Oh, we can do what ifs. I mean, what ifs are probably best left for ChatGPT. You know, ChatGPT is the king of what ifs, or the queen of what ifs, or the non-binary artificial sentient agent of what ifs, right? So this isn't really a space for what ifs. It's a space to see for yourself, right here and now. Not conceptually and not intellectually, but experientially. You know, to breathe, to step back from Buddha and Jesus and all the religiosity and all the complicated thinking, and to just breathe. Don't look for forgiveness out there. Don't look for Buddha to forgive you. Don't look for Jesus to forgive you, but allow forgiveness to take place. And what are we forgiving? Well, we are allowing the forgiving of grasping or desire and aversion. Because when we bring our minds home to our bodies, right? When we actually start to look within, we find that there's all kinds of things going on that we can apply judgments to. There's all kinds of things going on that we can say, I like this, I don't like this, right? And instead of following that train of thought of liking and disliking, we allow the forgiveness of liking and disliking. We allow the forgiveness of non-judgment to take place. So whatever it is that I'm experiencing in myself, I'm taking the responsibility to turn towards my own experience. Whatever it is that I experience within myself, I'm going to cease making judgments about that, and I'm going to allow the awareness of whatever's happening to be there without judgment. Don't thank me for sharing. Practice it. Get to work. Wasting your time. Don't do that. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your time anymore. You can also say, stop wasting your time, ask a real question. Because it is unusual. It is unusual to be a human being, right? To be born as a human being. Even the Buddha himself talked a lot about that. It's very rare, it's very unusual. So we can't be so easily falling into a dream of complicated thinking because of how unusual this experience is. And in the same way, we can't fall into a dream of overconfidence about understanding everything when we know that there's so much that we don't understand. We know that there's so much that simply cannot be put into a box of conceptual or intellectual understanding. And that's very realistic. It's very realistic to say, I don't understand what's going on, or to recognize that you or I or we don't have a capacity to quote unquote understand this experience or this situation. And that not understanding or that not grasping is really where wisdom and compassion can arise, or deep looking can arise. Seeing things as they are, not based on our stories that we attach to, the words and phrases that we attach to, that we fixate on, that we dwell on. To kind of sit and be with the utter preciousness. Even if we can't fully feel that or recognize that, right? And remember, we're not going with any what ifs. What ifs is for ChatGPT. So we don't have to ask what if, because the fullness of this experience is already right here and right now. So we don't have to ask what if. What if is already answered. This is what if. This is the answer to what if. What if has already been answered, because this is already right here and right now. This is the answer to what if. This is the answer to what if already. Not understanding through thinking, understanding through experiencing that is beyond understanding or not understanding. Beyond understanding or not understanding already. Relax, relax. This is that love. This is that grace. This is what Jesus taught about. This is what Jesus said when he said, "The only way to heaven is through me. The only way to no suffering is suffering." Beyond thoughts. Beyond ego. doesn't have to be something special. Just do your best. That's enough.
Now you awaken, you see yourself nature, and meaning you become enlightened. However, the truth is the matter is that you still have this body and still subject to pains and aches and headaches and thirst and hunger and cold. That's the nature of our body. So what to do? Can we put an end to all that pain and suffering? You see that at that point, the pain and suffering and the sicknesses and the heartaches no longer bother you. Before it's unbearable to you. After you become enlightened, you just embrace everything as part of something that you must endure in order to repay your karmic debts. So the pain doesn't disappear. It's just that when your heart aches or you're depressed, it doesn't bother you. You can snap out of it. Whereas when you have no wisdom, you are just a victim. Life is too overwhelming for you. After you become enlightened, life can still be overwhelming, but it doesn't bother you. Actually, then, as when something wonderful happens, you find life fascinating. You find life wonderful. You have no more fear. You have no more trepidation. You have no more hang-ups. You can embrace everything. You can embrace your husband with all his imperfections and his sweetness, everything. Now you awaken, you see yourself nature, and meaning you become enlightened. However, the truth is the matter is that you still have this body and still subject to pains and aches and headaches and thirst and hunger and cold. That's the nature of our body. So what to do? Can we put an end to all that pain and suffering? You see that at that point, the pain and suffering and the sicknesses and the heartaches no longer bother you. Before it's unbearable to you. After you become enlightened, you just embrace everything as part of something that you must endure in order to repay your karmic debts. So the pain doesn't disappear. It's just that when your heart aches or you're depressed, it doesn't bother you. You can snap out of it. Whereas when you have no wisdom, you are just a victim. Life is too overwhelming for you. After you become enlightened, life can still be overwhelming, but it doesn't bother you. Actually, then, as when something wonderful happens, you find life fascinating. You find life wonderful. You have no more fear. You have no more trepidation. You have no more hang-ups. You can embrace everything. You can embrace your husband with all his imperfections and his sweetness, everything. Now you awaken.
So, may we all awaken. No, Aaron, there's too much complicated thoughts in that. So nothing can be understood really through complicated thinking, or nothing natural. So you, as a human being, are a part of the nature, right? So we find out about the nature, the true nature, the real nature, by looking closely at what appears, not by thinking about what appears. We might say, well, how did we get all of these cars and all of this advanced technology? Well, look at what that's doing to the natural environment and to the planet. So being open to not put profit on a pedestal is very important. Being willing to not put loss on like some kind of negative award, and some kind of negative award is very important. It's just cause and effect. It's just phenomena arising and disappearing. No, no, no. Just another idea, just another thought. like saying that stubbing your toe is the interference of a synthetic frequency. It's just nonsense. You have to accept each and every breath as it is. You have to accept each and every thought as it is. You have to accept each and every moment as it is. And the way that we do that is we train or we practice in this way of seeing without thinking about what we see, of hearing without thinking about what we hear, of thinking without thinking about what we think about. So it's a direct access to insight, a direct access to life as it is, reality as it is in the here and now. That's much better, Aaron. Oh, you're good. You're good next up. You're helping a lot. You're giving a lot. I'm sure it's not just me that can feel that energy. So we're talking about the deep stuff, the hardcore stuff, the rough and tough, real stuff, and being concerned with that. That's a good stuff. That's a good way to be. So don't be shy. That suffering is the way out of suffering. My ability to come here and sit here and be in front of the screen and to feel what's there to be felt, whether it's good or bad, or I like it or I don't like it, or my life's going well or my life's not going well, just this is enough. That my suffering is enough to relax and release my whole body and mind and to say fuck you to my ego. But that's not the normal fuck you. It's more like relax and release. But it's alive, it's empowered, it's engaged. It's like a full willingness, right? A full openness. We're not playing any games. We're not having a discussion. We're not figuring out the ego. We're not figuring out our lives. We're not becoming our own therapist. Beyond the person, beyond the situation, beyond the story, beyond the ego BS that we're going back and forth with, me and you and everybody, etc. It might hurt like hell. Everything might fall apart tomorrow. That's a-okay, no problem. I might feel really, really bad right now. That's a-okay, no problem. My worst nightmare might become real right now. A-okay, no problem. I am allowing this to be the way that it is. I am allowing myself to love the way that it already is. I am allowing myself to be the way that it already is, without trying to fix it, without trying to solve it, and very, very important, without trying to avoid it. That's the potency of our practice that we're doing together here. We're not trying to avoid anything. We're not trying to get anything out of this. We're showing up and we are being here. And maybe we're sharing deeply as we can, or we're listening deeply as we can. That's our real generosity. It's beyond student and teacher. It's beyond right and wrong. It's beyond higher or lower. It's beyond any story about what's going on here. And that is our practice that is beyond practicing. Okay? Because for many of us, we may need help, or we may be willing to give help, but our heads are so far up our own asses that it's untenable. It's unrealistic, it's improbable. So this is not to figure something out or to fix something or to solve something, but just to remove our head out of our own asses. Not that, you can't say that the ass is good or bad just because it stinks and that's where shit is. If you didn't have an ass, if you couldn't shit, you're gonna die very, very quickly. You see? So that's also not about good or bad, but being open enough to share deeply and open enough to listen deeply to where we can be in direct human connection with one another. that when the shit hits the fan, and God, where did that saying even come from? I mean, when has that actually happened in human history where a shit hit a very fast moving fan? That's pretty weird, right? But that when that happens, we can either say, okay, this shit stinks, this is a mess, but I can clean it up, I can take care of it, or this is such a mess, I need to ask for a little bit of help. Point blank, period. You see? Boy, that's a good one, Shelley. Ego games are not, are not tolerated here. Ego games are not tolerated here, okay? We're mindful of them, not attached to them, but just open and flexible. Ready to listen, ready to give, ready to let go. Open, 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 open. One of the interesting things that we can actually see here is the lack of individuation and the lack of individuality in human beings. I don't know about you, but myself as a somewhat objective observer, seeing how people come in here and the kind of ways that they act, where's all the individuals? Where's all the individual people that make decisions and make determinations and make considerations and make choices and say, I like that because so and so and so. I don't like that because so and so and so. And it's all justified and correct and authoritative, and you know, they've got a real true ego that understands and makes decisions, all that. Where are all those people? They don't exist. That's not what's actually going on. And so this is also the openness and the flexibility of what we think is happening may not actually be what's happening at all in every dimension, in every aspect. And that's also quite relax and release the whole body and mind. Not about Jesus, not about Buddha, not about words and phrases. Right off the bat. Home run. Yeah, there's a lot of parallels in spirituality, but we tend to have our ears so clogged up with our complicated thinking that we're just completely unable to communicate. It may be all about Jesus for you, but for nobody, who's it about? Everybody's starting to get rough and tough with me here. What's going on, everybody? Let's get some W's in the chat. Let's get some support. Let's get some kindness. Let's get some hip hip hooray. I'm starting to lose motivation. They're going to turn my Buddhist podium into a cross for Christ. Not about deep or shallow, just listen in the listening, share in the sharing. Don't add anything extra. As much as you can, don't add anything extra. Come on, everybody, big W's in the chat. Hip hip hooray, hip hip hooray. Round of applause, please. levity, flexibility, being open and willing to renounce seriousness without missing out on our authenticity. You know, that's one of the deep things that actually seems to be part of this process of awakening, is that some entity, some being, I don't know who it was, but they installed, in my mind at least, and I think the minds of human beings, this like real you meter, or this authenticity meter that says, you know, when you're doing something, like sometimes when I'm doing my chanting, or when I'm, you know, trying to be a person, be a good person, or interact with other people, is this really who I am? Is this authentic enough? Are the vibrations connected enough? And that's all BS. We just have to learn to give. It's not about if the road's going to be open and clear for us. It's just walking on the road that we're already on without constantly keeping our head down and looking at all the things in the road. Just walk. Just walk in the way that you even walk beyond the walking itself. Not fixating in the walking, not sinking in the walking. It's the same with our meditation. There we go, Jonesy. There we go. I wish that it was, I don't really wish that, but you know, this channel is entirely anti-money. Basically everything I do is entirely anti-money. That's just the nature of the Dhamma, the nature of my way of expressing myself. And this is another kind of interesting thing, how we do what we do according to like our karmic affinities, like our conditional tendencies, right? We're good at doing some things and we're not good at doing other things. And being good at doing that is also about like, it just happens to happen that way, right? So we can go along with the way that things are just happening and recognize just happening, or we can try to build ourselves up to be a different version of ourselves, or to do something that we think would be better to do, or something, not to do something that would be worse to do. But all of this is just kind of like an illusion. It's kind of a dream. So I can say, like, it's not in my affinity to like create something that's produced and contrived and like something that can get a lot of views and be easily digestible. But also, that's just not what's happening. So I could do it, I couldn't do it. It's just an illusion. This is just what's happening. And I like the idea of awakening through confusion, or awakening from confusion. Pretending to understand everything is just, it's just ridiculous. It's more ridiculous than I can even be. I can't even be that ridiculous to pretend to understand everything. It's erroneous. It's apocryphal. It is heretical. So stop pretending to understand everything. And because we cannot understand everything, maybe understanding things is a little bit overrated. I'm not saying there's not a place for it. If I need a mechanic, I want to go to a good mechanic. If I need a doctor, I want to go to a good doctor. But we don't always have a choice about that. We don't have a choice if we understand something or don't understand something. I just think it's such a ridiculous idea to take this position of understanding anything in particular, but especially everything. And so that puts me in a position of accessibility to choicelessness. Oh, maybe it's not a real choicelessness, maybe it's not a true choicelessness, but it's the choicelessness that I got. You know what I mean? And in some ways I have to respect that. But there's also a disclaimer here concerned with like right view. So if you can at least appreciate the view of not being someone, or if you can at least appreciate the view of no separation, or if you can at least appreciate the view of impermanence, or if you can at least appreciate the view of nothing in particular in this world can actually give us satisfaction, then you may be more or less realistically aligned with the Dhamma, and your meanderings of thought or sharing of views may be more adjacent to the realistic way rather than the unrealistic way. Because while there does seem to be separation, there's actually no such thing as separation, right? The reality of separation is only in seemingness. And seemingness is inherently inseparable from the way that things actually are. Well, maybe that's just your opinion, though, Salem. Maybe that's true, but it's just your opinion. And I'll say that to myself as well, hey, Rob, or whoever the hell you are. That's just your opinion. That's just your opinion, man. I need to get a attach on clown nose. Excuse me for a moment. I mean, step by step, gradually, we have to make our own determination about what works for us and what doesn't. And slowly, this is a process, it takes a lot of time. We let go of more and more of those things that don't work for us in terms of our aspiration, in terms of our direction, and we pick up or hold on to or consistently reacquaint ourselves with those things that do work for us according to our aspirations. It's not a good idea to waste time. It's not a good idea to just kind of hang out somewhere because it's somewhere to hang out. Uh, we have to start looking at where we're placing our attention and seeing how that affects our body and mind in our life. Does it help? Does it not help? Is it supportive? Is it not supportive? Etc. So much about the solidity of our self and the solidity of the accuracy of our perception is just pretending. Like for a moment there, I didn't know, honestly, I did not know if I was wearing my glasses or if I wasn't. That's real. So I wasn't, apparently I wasn't wearing my glasses, but for a period of time, I did not know if I was wearing them or not wearing them. The thought or the sense of wearing them came up, and I wasn't sure if I was wearing them or not. And then, I kind of realized, oh, I'm not wearing them. But this pretending is based in this separate sense of self that always knows what's going on, always knows who they are, always knowing what's happening. Can we really be so sure that what we think is true or real? When you have even a single thought of looking for a shortcut in Zen or in enlightenment, you have already stuck your head in a bowl of glue. Big Will, don't get me started. Don't get me riled up, Big Will. Don't get me worked up, Big Will. The power, the true power, the real power, Big Will. Many people, come on everybody. Many people today study Zen acquisitively. This is truly a false idea about what has no false ideas. Acquisition, right? Acquiring. Just make your mind free, but don't be too tense and don't be too loose. Working this way will save you unlimited mental energy. People have been used by the mind's conceptual consciousness, meaning like we get into an identity relating to concepts that appear in the mind. People have been used by the mind's conceptual consciousness since before they can remember, flowing in the waves of birth and death, unable to be independent. If they want to leave birth and death to be joyfully alive, they must cut through decisively, stopping the course of mind's conceptual consciousness. In Zen, there are no sectarian differences. We could also say in like Buddhism that is about enlightenment specifically. In Zen, there are no sectarian differences. But when students lack a broad, stable will, and teachers lack a broad, comprehensive teaching, then what they enter into differs. The ultimate point of Zen, or the ultimate point of Buddhism, the ultimate point of awakening, has no such differences. There are intellectual professionals who think they know everything about Zen, or it says everything but Zen. So they think they know everything about enlightenment or the way out of suffering or Buddhism except for actually having the enlightenment, having the freedom. Let's say that that's what it is. There are intellectual professionals who think they know everything but Zen. So they call over a few incompetent old monks, give them a meal, and have them say whatever comes into their minds. The intellectuals then write this babble down and use it to judge everyone else. They trade sayings and call this Zen encounter, imagining they have gotten the advantage if they get in the last word. They don't even know it if they happen to run into real perceptives. Even if they do notice the real ones, these intellectuals are not really sure and will not sincerely seek understanding from the teachers. They just seek approval as before. Then, when the teachers demonstrate the real developmental impact of Zen in the midst of all sorts of situations, the intellectuals are afraid to approach. I wish we had some intellectuals like that approaching here, but everybody is a little bit too scared. All of the intellectual disagreeers. I'm ready and I'm willing to be together with whatever, with everything. But I'm not seeking after something in particular. I'm not trying to make something in particular happen. So it depends on invitation. It depends on sharing and being willing to listen. You know, we can't go around being depressed or being disappointed about the way that things are not being the way that we would like them to be. We have to be fully open to what it is. Let's try this one. Saving energy. People are backwards. People are backwards, ignorant of the true self. They pursue things, willingly suffering immeasurable pains in their greed for a little bit of pleasure. In the mornings, before they've opened their eyes and gotten out of bed, when they're still only half awake, their minds are already flying about in confusion, flowing along with random thoughts. I can relate to that. Although good and bad deeds have not yet appeared, heaven and hell are already formed in their hearts before they even get out of bed. By the time they go into action, the seeds of heaven and hell are already implanted in their minds, meaning like things going the good way, things going the bad way, the day working out, the day not working out. Did not the Buddha say, all faculties of sense are receptacles manifested by your own mind? It's true, it's real. Physical bodies are manifestation of your own mind's representation of forms as subjectively imagined. These manifestations are like the flow of a river, like seeds, like a lamp, like wind, passing away from instant to instant. Frenetic activity, attraction to impure things, and voracity are the causes of the useless, deceptive habits that seem to have always existed, like a water wheel always turning. If you really see through this, you understand the meanings of impersonality, the meaning of impersonality. You know that heaven and hell are nowhere else but in the heart of the half-awake individual about to get out of bed. They do not come from outside. So this is our wake-up call, to get out of bed, to wake up. While in the process of waking up, you should really pay attention. While you are paying attention, you should not make any effort to struggle with whatever is going on in your mind. While struggling, you waste energy. As the third ancestor of Zen said, if you try to stop movement and return to stillness, the attempt to be still will increase movement. When you notice that you are saving energy in the midst of the mundane stress of daily affairs, this is where you gain energy. This is where you attain Buddhahood. This is where you turn hell into heaven. Turning hell into heaven. You're simply hunting for ghosts in your own mind, and I'm sure you'll find quite a lot of them. Cars are limited. Attachment to things being the way that we want them to be is limited. Non-attachment with the way that things already are is limitless and does not require effort. This is the way of turning hell into heaven. Not struggling, not seeking, not chasing, not trying to figure out, but rather to share the Buddha nature with all non-existing and existing energies, whatever appears, whatever doesn't appear. Whatever appears is just what appears. You don't need to think anything else about it. Whatever doesn't appear is just what doesn't appear. You don't need to think anything else about it. So being fully, completely, totally, closely aware without struggling to make what you are aware of a particular way. This is the way of saving energy in the midst of myriad phenomena. It's like getting involved with something that you don't need to get involved with. Every time that you make a conscious choice to get involved with something that you don't need to get involved with, you are unnecessarily wasting energy for dealing with those things that you most certainly have to deal with in life. So, constantly trying to understand everything or constantly trying to articulate your understanding properly is largely irrelevant to the way of just being. Just being without wasting energy. Allowing the body to be the body without thinking about it. Allowing the mind to be the mind without thinking about it. Allowing the situation to be the situation without thinking about it. So that when the time comes when you need to or really want to think about something, you can do it and you'll have a robustness of energy to take care of that. External politics are mostly a lost cause, but our internal politics can be worked with very directly. So don't waste too much of your energy on external politics unless you're a politician. You can be a much better politician if you stop worrying about politics. You can affect the world in a much deeper and more sustained, comprehensive way if you stop thinking about the world. the unnecessariness of thinking about what you had thought about. This is not about agreeing or disagreeing about anything. This isn't about trying to make a point. It's not about being right or wrong or being true or false. It's not about believing, oh, this is believable because of so and so. You have to, this is a mirror. And the teaching or the invitation or the pointing here is to take the mirror that this is already and to turn that a mirror around and to look at your own mind, period. This is not based on a philosophy. This is not about a philosophy. If you want to plant a garden, if you want to make a donation, if you want to make a decision about what you're going to do tomorrow or the next day, I'll give you some of my philosophy, some of my perspective on skillful ways to do that. But this has nothing to do with you or me. This has nothing to do with doing anything. This has as much to do with doing something as this has to do with believing in Christ and accepting Christ into our hearts. So, as inconvenient as that may seem to be to the individual, to not someone, that's neither convenient nor inconvenient. I'm just writing on the mirror. You have to see through the writing to see your own mind. And you have to make sure to turn the mirror around, to look within. My thoughts are just as delusional as your thoughts. Thoughts are delusions, period. So make use of non-thinking skillfully, properly, methodically, consistently, to ascertain the true nature of the origin of thoughts or of delusions. The apparent importance to this delusion or that delusion is just apparent or conventional, and it is as apparent as it is transparent. So see right through it. See through my thoughts as much as you're able to see through your own thoughts. The dreams are just irrelevant. Just like having this experience is irrelevant, having that experience is irrelevant. Being wealthy or being in poverty is irrelevant to the way that things actually are, to the nature, to the source, to the cessation. So as much as dreams end, that's where their relevance is. That's what's worthwhile to understand about dreams, their ending. But otherwise, we just get interested, we just get curious, we just get worked up. So as much as you get worked up, relax and release the special importance that you're giving to that. Apply irrelevance to all phenomena, within and without. Whatever you're attached to, relax. Whatever you're not attached to, don't think about it. Whatever you're not attached to or not attached to, just be with it without attachment. Your questions about enlightenment. Well, if you're attached to freedom, then that's not freedom, is it? Just another attachment. So allow everything to fall apart. Allow everything to dissolve. and give out that relaxing of everything. Give out that letting go of everything. Give out that emptiness, that spaciousness of thingness. Beyond the person, the place, the situation, the story, the experience, beyond, beyond, beyond. Quality of spontaneity, quality of freshness beyond duality, quality of clarity or awareness that's not based in thinking. We're constantly judging things that we see, judging things that we hear, judging things that we feel. So, don't judge judging, but relax the whole process of judging. Accept the headache, feel the headache, look right at the headache. The headache can be like a little bell in our brain or a little bell in our mind that's inviting us to enlightenment or inviting us to a deeper understanding of truth, a deeper understanding of reality. So, as much as you can, when that suffering is very clear, very specific, look right at that specific suffering. That's a very good way to make use of that suffering, to endure it, to investigate it. But don't make yourself stressed, don't make yourself worked up by trying to investigate the pain. Just be more open, more willing to feel the pain as it is without that judging. There's almost like a little voice that says, you have to judge this. You have to make a judgment about what is being experienced. And so instead of listening to that voice, step back from that voice entirely and be aware without judgment. Be aware without judging. 100%. Okay? Any final questions or comments, and we'll wrap up for our live stream today? Okay. May you be well, happy, and peaceful. May you be free from all sufferings. May you be free from all attachment to complicated thinking that does not help you to bring about an end to suffering. May all beings in all directions receive these words, and may any benefits, blessings, or goodness that we've developed, cultivated, brought about through our practice of meditation or whatever spiritual practice we may do be not hoarded, not be held onto, not fixated on within ourselves, but instead offered and shared out towards all beings in all directions. May it be, may it be, may it truly, truly be. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.